Detroit Martin Luther King Committee. They're putting together a fantastic program on Monday that will begin at the Central United Methodist Church. They will eventually march down to, I think it's St. John's Church that they will go to, and they are encouraging everyone to participate. Our phone number is 313-778-7600. And if it's all right with you, Mr. Ezekwe, we're going to take a phone call.
No problem.
Fantastic. Let's go to Mike, who's on line 1. Hey, Mike, thanks for calling. You're on with Mr. Ezekwe.
Hey, Cliff.
Yes.
Hey, Cliff.
Yes, Mike.
I wanted to say, man, thank you for what you do on the radio. You had to endure that call from Tim, the idiot, calling us and claiming that he knows you and all this kind of nonsense. So you're doing a great job on the radio and defending what's right. And I just applaud you for your leadership and your steadfastness and not tolerating nonsense, exposing the truth. So I applaud you, Cliff, okay?
Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The caller who called Tim is an avid Donald Trump supporter. And if someone supports Donald Trump, okay, you can call the show. But don't call here and try to insult me. But that's what these Trump supporters do. You know, back in the day when I was a kid, we used to talk about capping on people. We'd have cap sessions. I don't know if you're old enough for that, Mr. Ezekwe. But we used to have that when I was a young kid. Well, these Republicans, that's all they do. They have no information. They have no facts. They have no basis to believe what they believe or advocate what they advocate. And so they try to cap on you and outshout you and try to win the arguments. But that don't work with me. And so I appreciate that a lot, Mike. And I'll let you respond too, Ezekwe, if you'd like.
Well, right now we're facing the Trump administration in this country, and they just engineered probably the largest tax heist in the history of the United States. And it's going to be very, very profound ramifications of this new tax bill. The potential for millions of children to be denied health insurance, the failure of them to acknowledge the plight of homeowners here in this country. There's also going to be threats against Medicare and as well. So this is going to impact tens of millions of people here in the United States. So we have to be aware of this and be prepared to launch a fight back against the Trump program. He is largely appealing to a narrow base, and that base is even shrinking. And he has to face the music in a lot of areas. I think they're upset now because of this new book that's been published that's selling like hotcakes.
Yes, Fire and Fury.
Yes. Yeah, I have a copy of it. I picked it up on Tuesday. And, it's a thriller.
Yes.
Believe it. It really is.
We may have to have you back on and review the book for us someday.
Most definitely. I've been looking to come and talk about that in the Trump program, his history, and what he actually has in planned for people in this country, not just African Americans. He's racialized politics to a large degree, but a lot of the people that are going to be impacted by his program are working class and poor whites. And unfortunately, they have been misdirected in supporting him. But he is not going to be able to deliver the jobs that he has promised them. So it's really going to be a problem, not only for us, but for people throughout the United States.
Mr. Ezekwe, I have said for years that America and the American ideal, the American dream, if you will, has been betrayed by its embracing and its history of chattel slavery, Jim Crow, and racism. And that has undermined any serious attempts to have a democratic and fair society. Would you agree with that? And is that in keeping with the Kingian philosophy?
Yes. Dr. King, towards the end of his life, this is why he organized the Poor People's Campaign. He recognized that you had to bring together people in a staunch program seeking to achieve broad-based social justice in the United States. There had to be a guaranteed annual income. There had to be guaranteed full employment. There had to be guaranteed national health insurance. These are the type of social programs that are needed to make the United States a great nation. When Trump talks about making America great again, at what period is he talking about going back? Is he talking about going back to the 19th century? to the 1940s, 1950s, where African Americans were subjected to legalized segregation. I don't want to go back there. And I don't think any black person in this country would want to go back there who is in their right mind.
I would even take it back to Andrew Jackson. That seems to be his hero, the author of the Trail of Tears and Indian Removal Act. Let me go back to the phone calls and get another phone call real quick from Thomas on line 4. Hey, Thomas, thanks for calling. You're on with Mr. Abayomi Azikiwe.
Hello to you, both of you gentlemen.
Hello.
I want you to remember Black Wall Street. Now, Martin Luther King, at the time when Martin Luther King was doing what he was doing, we had brothers on another side of the street that was doing something totally different. Obviously, they're not going to get the notoriety that Martin Luther King is going to get. Now, when Black Wall Street was totally destroyed, there were no protests from black people, preachers, or nobody, okay? And then as we move forward, we talk about the churches and all these kind of entities. In a way, they kind of hinder progress. Okay, now while we all talking about, well, we want the white man to treat us fair, we want to eat in a restaurant, we want to ride on the front of their bus, how come we can't make our own buses? Mm-hmm. I like soul food. Why do I have to eat in
Thomas, let me jump in, Thomas, because when you say the other side of the street, are you talking about Malcolm X and the more militant movement?
I'm talking about Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Eldridge Cleaver.
Right.
I'm talking about all the brothers who said we need to do ourselves. We don't need to try to beg to get included with Caucasian. Now, Martin Luther King was trying to stop a race war, okay? Because after Rosewood and Wall Street, black people was ready to go. But Martin Luther King said, no, it's about love. And if you go in a restaurant and they don't want to feed you, and somebody come up and hit you in your head, just bow your head. If you go outside and Will Connors got his dogs, and them dogs trying to bite your gonads or bite your stomach, just hold your hands out. Don't touch that dog.
All right. You know what? And we got other callers, Thomas. I appreciate your call. I'm going to turn over to Mr. Azikiwe because that, at the crux of that, is an important question. There are those who want to know if he was too nonviolent. There are others who say by the time the end of their lives came, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were really converging on their philosophies. What is your take on that, Mr. Azikiwe?
Yeah, they were. And people have to remember, Dr. King was assassinated largely at the aegis of the United States government. So was Malcolm X. And if he's referring to the Tulsa riots of 1921, those were not isolated incidents. Where Dr. King was born in Atlanta, they had a similar situation in 1906. We can look at what happened after World War I with the so-called Red Summer, where black communities were attacked across the United States in Washington, D.C. and Chicago. So what happened in Tulsa in 1921 was not isolated. And people like Stokely Carmichael, for example, came out of the civil rights movement. They worked with Dr. King, and they both agreed in terms of U.S. policy towards Vietnam. They were together on those questions. And Dr. King was only 39 years old when he died. So these are important factors to take into consideration.
Let's take another call real quick from Martin on line 2. Hey, Martin, thanks for calling. You're on with Mr. Abayomi Azikiwe. Are you with us, Martin?
Hey, I'm sorry. I had to make a real quick point, man, that you said yesterday you didn't advocate violence. And I just want to throw that in. I wish I could go longer, but I had to go to a meeting. But hopefully they give you an award on Martin Luther King Day because you stand up for right.
I appreciate
I'll talk to you more, man.
I appreciate the call. I have said it, and I repeat it in this conversation. I am a follower and advocate of the Kingian philosophy. Now, I don't know if I have the same courage and the fortitude he had to be, have bricks thrown at him and people hit him and people stab him and what have you, and still hold on so diligently to his nonviolent philosophy. But I do believe in it. And what about that, Mr. Azikiwe? Is that still a relevant, viable philosophy to embrace today?
Well, it depends on one's individual convictions. What I look at is the objectives of a movement, whether we achieve those objectives through nonviolent methods or other methods. The point is to achieve total freedom, self-determination. That is what is important. But in regard to the elimination of poverty, the elimination of institutional racism, and we cannot have, in my opinion, full freedom in this country if there's legalized segregation, if black people are institutionally segregated and discriminated against based upon their skin color.
Mm-hmm.
So you can argue that it's not relevant for them to be able to live wherever they want to live or to eat wherever they want to eat. It is relevant from the standpoint that human dignity is involved and that our tax dollars are taken from us to build up this country. Our labor has built up this country. So in that sense, we have a right to access to anything that exists in the United States, and we also have a right to determine both domestic as well as foreign policy inside this country. If we say that we should not be concerned about what the U.S. government is doing, then of course we'd achieve our own objectives.
We are quickly running out of time. Please take us back to our original conversation, and that is the ceremony that's taking place on Monday at the Central United Methodist Church. Tell us all about that and how people can participate with you.
Yes, this coming Monday, January 15th, it will be the 89th birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We're going to start at 12 noon at Central United Methodist Church, located on Woodward Avenue in East Adams in downtown Detroit. There will be a march at 1:30. Our keynote speaker is Reverend Dr. Bernard Lafayette of Emory University. And there'll be a community meal at 2:45 at St. John's Episcopal Church, located on Woodward Avenue and I-75. If people want more information about the event, they can go to our website, and that's at mlkdetroit.org. That's mlkdetroit.org. Or they can call us at 313-405-2185. That's 405-2185, area code 313.
And are there any websites or resource materials that you would refer people to who want to learn more about the full contributions of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
Yes, there are many. All they have to do is Google Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They can go to YouTube and Google his name, and there are a tremendous amount of his lectures and interviews, and people can get an idea of what he actually stood for, what he actually did during his lifetime. A lot of us have not studied in detail the history of African-American people in this country, and people make certain assumptions about particular individuals and movements that oftentimes are not accurate or correct. So my position is we want to draw from all of the various strands of our struggle in this country over the last several centuries, taking from Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and all of the great fighters for freedom and self-determination.
All right. Mr. Abayomi Ezekwe of the Martin Luther King Committee, thank you so much for spending time. I hope you get record numbers on Monday, and I do look forward to our next conversation, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Abayomi Ezekwe. And again, that is taking place Monday, Central United Methodist Episcopal Church. A number of King